Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys my most underrated player on the Washington Redskins in 2020. If you guys are new, subscribe for Redskins and NFL content. So let's get into it. So, like I said, I'm going to be giving you guys my most underrated player. And before we get into it, I'm going to be giving you guys a few honorable mentions before we get into the actual player. A couple honorable mentions on offense, I'll give you a few. So, for the receiving core, I think Steven Sims is incredibly underrated. I think he's going to have a huge breakout year this year, 600, 700 plus yards this year, like 7 or 8 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a huge year. He didn't really get much playing time until the end of the season, so I think he's going to have a huge year. I also think that Wes Martin is extremely underrated. I think he played really good in his last couple of games, so I think he's going to be able to be a pretty good starter for the Redskins. And back to the receiving core, I think Kelvin Harmon is also pretty underrated. I'm looking, if he can start, I think he's going to have a really good breakout year this year. Not extremely huge amount of yards, but maybe 400, 500 yards. And if he's starting, maybe even more. And now onto the defense. I think on defense, my player is on defense, so we'll wait a little bit on that. But I think Jimmy Moreland is going to have a good year this year. I think he was really hyped on in the preseason last year, and then his hype kind of died down, and he actually started to play pretty good, or pretty good for a rookie, on the second half of the season. So if he continues that play and brings that on into 2020, I think he can be an extremely good player that really a lot of us have kind of forgotten about. And then another player is Sean Dion Hamilton. Sean Dion Hamilton is extremely underrated too. One of the best cover linebackers in the NFL last year, allowing about a 50% completion percentage. And he's also a pretty good tackler, so expect big things for him this year. And yeah, now I'm going to be going on to which player I think is the most underrated player on the Redskins. So I hope you enjoy, and I want you guys to comment down below which player you guys do think is the most underrated player before you see who I say it is. My most underrated player for the Redskins in 2020 is Ryan Anderson. Ryan Anderson, as you guys all know, was selected by the Redskins in the second round, 49th overall of the 2017 NFL Draft. And I think a lot of people don't remember what impact he had last year because of how our defense underperformed last year. If you look at his stats, he played in 16 games, started 4 of them, had 1 pass deflections, and 5 forced fumble, guys. 5 forced fumbles. He recovered 2 of those, and he had 4 total sacks and 44 combined tackles. Those are really good stats, and 9 QB hits. Last year was really the first year out of the first 3 that he actually started to play a lot more. He played on a lot more snaps. I think he played in 49% of the total snaps. So he played a lot more last year, and you guys see what kind of impact he had last year. 5 forced fumbles. That is 5 turnovers that he forced, and he also had 4 sacks. Something that is going to be interesting is to see how switching to the 4-3 is going to impact him. We will be talking about that in a couple minutes. But first, let's see where we drafted him and what players we missed on. He did get drafted really early, like I said, 49th overall. He hasn't completely lived up to expectations, but like I said, I think he had an extremely underrated year last year. So not too many players like behind him that we could have gotten. There's a couple decent cornerbacks. The cornerback from Dallas, I really like him, and Juju Smith-Schuster. But besides that, there's not really many players that were really big steals. Alvin Kamara right there, Cooper Kupp. But we didn't miss on too many huge guys. And Ryan Anderson, yeah, he hasn't lived up to that second round hype, but I think he's played good overall. And like I said, 5 forced fumble, guys. 5 forced fumbles is so many. That's 5 turnover opportunities for the Redskins, and he also recovered 2 of them. I'm not sure how many fumbles that he forced were actually recovered by the Redskins, but that's a decent amount of turnovers that you bring the ball back to the offense, and he played pretty good last year. So he is 25 years old right now, so he's still in the prime of his career. He will be a free agent after this year. He's about 6'2", 255 pounds, so he's really that hybrid player that Ron Rivera loves, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does in the 4-3 with the Redskins because he's not that big. He's not big enough really to be primarily an edge rusher, but he's also not fast enough really to just play a normal linebacker role where he's covering a lot. Last year, didn't play that much in coverage, but when he was in coverage, really didn't play that well. 81% completion percentage, 134 pass rating, and that wasn't really that much. It wasn't a big sample size, but still didn't play good in coverage, which is concerning because, like I said, the 4-3. We're gonna go on to that right now, but when we switch to the 4-3, that means it's gonna be Chase Young and Montez Sweat on the outside, and then Ryan Kerrigan and others helping out on the edge, and it's gonna make it hard for Anderson to get a lot of snaps on the edge. He will be able to get some, but it's gonna he's not gonna have a specific role. We'll see though. He could develop into that Sam linebacker right here. You guys can read that a little more. So I'll read it right here. A Sam linebacker might be the best fit for him. The Sam is primarily tasked with defending the run and staying close to the line, but Anderson would still find himself in coverage at times, and he doesn't have the athletic profile or the experience to flourish in that position. So I think this year is going to be a little bit of a transition year for Anderson. I do think he is going to be getting some snaps on the edge. I think he's still going to get those good sack numbers. I think he's going to get a few sacks this year, but it's going to be interesting to see. Sorry about that. Interesting to see where he plays. Jack Del Rio said something about him. Let's read it. Jack Del Rio has said that he's looking forward to getting Anderson involved, and after Anderson's performance in 2019, that should be the case. So yeah, 5 forced fumbles, guys, is absolutely crazy. And I think if he does play on the outside, let's say, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if someone gets hurt, whether it be Chase Young, Montez Sweat, or even Ryan Kerrigan, Ryan Anderson is going to get the opportunity to play on the edge. And even regardless if no one really gets hurt, he's still going to get a bunch of snaps per game. And I think he can get at least 4 sacks, which is what he got last year. 5 forced fumbles is obviously extremely hard to replicate, but if he can get a few sacks, maybe get 5 sacks, 6 sacks, a couple forced fumbles, and do a little better in coverage this year, I'm going to be really, really excited, and we'll see how much we have to pay him because this year, of course, after the season, we're going to have to pay him. He's going to be a free agent, so it's going to be interesting to see how much he's going to be asking for and to see if he ends up staying here. I think he will. If the price we match someone else, I think he's going to lean more towards signing with us or re-signing with us just because he's been here his whole career. Hopefully our defense took a huge step this year, and also he has a lot of friends on the team from Alabama, so I think he's going to really want to stay with the Redskins. But yeah, overall, Ryan Anderson, crazy underrated year. No one talks about what kind of impact he had. Even I didn't think he had 5 forced fumbles, but that is absolutely crazy. That is game-changing type of stuff right there. 5 forced fumbles. You're giving the ball back to the offense, or giving the defense a chance to recover the ball, or yourself 5 times, and giving the offense a chance to go back on the field and get the opportunity to score. So that is a very, very important player to have. I think Ryan Anderson, we're going to try to make it a priority to re-sign him this offseason. I'm not sure how the money's going to look. Probably, depending on his performance, if he plays like he did last year, probably around 5 to 7 million. If he plays better, it could be 7 to 8, 9 million. But I'm expecting us to re-sign him again. Crazy underrated year last year. Last year was the first year he really got to play more than like 30% of the snaps or 40%. In his rookie year, he played 18% of the defensive snaps and then 16% in his second year. Last year, jumped up a ton. Pretty much tripled it, 49% on defense and 49% on special teams. But I think expect a big year for Ryan Anderson if we're able to figure out what place he plays on the defense, what specific position. And yeah, let me know what players you think I missed, what players were underrated, and what you think the 4-3 switch, how do you think that's going to affect Ryan Anderson? Do you think he's going to play better, or do you think he's going to not really have a role and kind of disappear because of Chase Young and Montez Sweat? Again, guys, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash the like button. Tomorrow, I will most likely be posting an AGG Antonio Gandy Golden video about his workouts and other stuff like that. It should be very interesting. Let me know any other video ideas you guys have, and peace.